the day we introduce these high fat, high salt, and high sugar foods, there is a change in the neuronal process that starts to happen. It starts to work as a kick. So it starts to activate these dopaminergic neurons, and it's like a reward. I think to take a few moments and to understand that sometimes we need to look at a few things as if we're, kind of have a beginner's mind, like as if we are tasting it for the first time, as if we are having it for the first time, almost like a child with a curiosity in your mind.
Okay, fantastic. I think we should start this now. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining in, as well as the doctors and the guests who have come through this. We're doing this two ways. One, we're doing this live on the video call on Google Meets for all the people of the challenge. And second, we're recording this for our YouTube channel, which we usually do. We do podcasts every fortnight. My name is Ramanpreet Singh Arora. I'm your host here, and I'm so glad that we have not one but two experts here who are both great at their fields, right? So we've got Dr. Sumeet Arora here. She's an expert pediatric endocrinologist and tons of experience in helping people overcome challenges in life, specifically diabetes, right? And over the last 2.5 years that I have known her, I'm just amazed by the depth of the knowledge that she brings to the table. And on the other side, we have a totally different personality of Dr. Saumya Sharan, who's a psychologist, right? Who knows what you're doing. So everything that's on your mind, she's she knows it right there. I don't know whether she's a psychic or a psychologist, but I get confused. But yeah, uh, she has a knack for breaking behaviors down to minuscule parts. It's like the way we used to do differentiation back in engineering. She'd take a behavior, she'd break it down into 100 different parts, 100 different cues, and tell you why, what, how something happened, and how you can break the cycle and ensure that that doesn't happen the next day. So for everyone there who's listening to the podcast today, right, it'd be great if the guests can introduce themselves. Dr. Sumeet Arora, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Raman. And it's a pleasure, as always, to be here in this podcast. And, um, it's really fun having this interaction together at this moment. As a pediatric endocrinologist, there are empty number of times that we keep seeing, that I keep seeing a lot of children and adolescents going through a lot of challenges. And, I do face these conversations about how to go about mindful eating. And I hope that with our conversation today, we're going to get somewhere. And with Dr. Saumya being here, we're going to get some good insights into when we walk into the salad bar and what are we going to enjoy there.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sumeet. From that, she didn't mention her fantastic experience, right? So I'm going to just go there and talk about it a little bit, or she can go about it herself. She talks with why don't you go about it, about your practice across India and the US, and tell us about a little bit more about your background for this.
Yeah, sure. So I am a pediatric endocrinologist, and I'm American board certified. And I completed my fellowship in New York State University of New York. And I love doing what I'm doing. I'm really passionate about my specialty, about, spending time with kids. And more than the experience, I would say the bond that I have with families is just amazing. Currently, I'm leading the division of pediatric endocrinology in one of the private hospitals. And I do like to do my share of research, and I have some publications, and I've authored some chapters. And Raman knows how I hate to talk about myself. So there you go, Raman.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sumit Arora. So I know all about you, right? We keep on meeting often, but this is for the larger group and the audience out there. We're gonna see this back to back, right? And know where Dr. Sumit Arora comes from and what kind of expertise she brings to the table. Like moving on to a second guest for tonight, Dr. Saumya Sharan. Dr. Saumya, I just wish I would have met you sooner. the way you break things down. That's- yeah, I don't think I've seen anybody do that. And so, why don't you just go ahead and talk a little bit about yourself, tell the audience where you come from, and then we can move into Birendra's question on what were these two people doing at a salad bar.
Right. Thank you so much. I think you're very kind, Raman. I would like to start with that. So, I'm Dr. Saumya Sharan. I'm a consultant clinical psychologist and a behavioral psychologist at Heald. And I've been in this field for about 10 years. And I think that's the more formal introduction. But what really brings me here is to get people to find that missing piece of puzzle that we're trying to find to really get into a holistic state of living. And I love what I do, and I think this is one of the things that really drives me to get into the human behavior aspect and the mind aspect of things, because essentially I think we're able to tap into the mind aspect. And also today we're going to talk about a lot about mindfulness, and something that's very close to my heart. And whenever I talk about mindfulness, it's not just the mind aspect, but it's really the mind body connection that we tap into, and the state of being that we're going to talk about today. So I'm really excited to be here and answer your questions and talk about the doctor and the psychologist at the salad bar, and really the mindful eating part of it. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saumya, that you're really understanding yourself here, right? To be honest, but I will explore the layers of the onion as we go deeper into the podcast. So, for everyone who's listening to us, whether right now or whether in the future, the title is "The Doctor and the Psychologist." They walk into a salad bar. So, I want all of you to close your eyes for a few seconds and just think about walking into a salad bar yourself and make like the top five observations that come to your mind. Top five observations. You walk into a salad bar, what do you see? It's not a bar, remember, it's a salad bar. Right. So, what are the top five observations that come to your mind? Don't say it out loud, keep it with them. And then we're going to let Dr. Sumeet Arora and Dr. Saumya Sharan talk about it one by one. And let us understand how they see it, how they feel it, what they observe about it, right? And how much of that, we as general public are able to absorb through their expertise, right? So, uh, Dr. Sumit, shall we start with you?
Sure, sure, why not? I'm gonna give it my best shot. So I'm just walking into the salad bar here, and firstly, I would just say, like, smells are something that come to a person even before we are all in there, even before we walk into the center of that area. So I can smell some freshness, some fresh fruit, or fresh veggies that I can smell. I can imagine the ambience, probably with bamboo sticks and a lot of plants, because it's a salad bar. I can probably imagine that. And I see people are very happy and enjoying their conversations and really having fun with the food. And once I walk in there, what I can imagine is, there is a buffet of a lot of variety of salads and a lot of different dressings. And, I can have that. I have the watering mouth right now. So I do enjoy salads, but there's more to the story about me enjoying salads. And I would want to dive deep into this. But I would like to hear what Dr. Soumya has to say.
Well, I think when I walk into this, I would like to tune into my senses, and it's the smells, it is the vibrant colors of the different vegetables, of the different dressings, of just the different things that we can eat. But there's also one more thing, and of course, it's really bringing in your senses to stay present with the smells, with the kind of feeling that it evokes in you, or you start to salivate because it's just so fresh. It just brings in that feeling of freshness. But the other aspect that I want to talk about is we all have certain scripts attached to certain foods. So essentially, a lot of times you walk into a salad bar, either it is the freshness that evokes the freshness and the vegetables and the colors and the smells that evokes that I think your appetite and makes you want to grab that and have that salad, or it is. So I think it's very interesting to note how different people have different scripts. Otherwise, there are also people who walk into a salad bar and probably relate it to this is a bit too healthy, or this is a bit, am I a part of a regime which is a bit too strict for me, or is this supposed to be almost like a dieting period of which I'll follow for some time, and then I will come out of it and then follow my regular eating habit. So I think it's not just the senses that get evoked when you walk into it, but it's also the feelings, the thoughts attached, and the scripts attached to that I'm supposed to eat these vegetables when I'm, am I really unwell, or am I just trying to kind of lose weight, or is this something that is prescribed to me, or is this something that very healthy people eat, or is just a part of a little time frame and then you come out of it. So I guess these are two aspects of it that I'd like to talk about.
Yeah, so I would like to elaborate that, Dr. Saumya. So, just diving deep into what I just said. So this was not how I felt growing up. My connection to salad was okay. This is something I'm forced to eat. I really don't like it, and uh, and the idea of being an Indian, like when I was growing up, for most part, cucumbers, onions, and tomatoes were the only type of salad that you would have. And those were something that like were forced by your parents, grandparents, that okay, you really need to eat this, and then only you finish your meal. And so that was how I grew up until my experience in US about 15 years back or so, when I got exposed to a lot of different tastes and a lot of different new foods. And then slowly the evolution started to happen. My taste buds started to evolve. So, but now when I hear other people coming across, these types of salads, and people getting exposed to different cuisines, they are also starting to open up. But if you still go on to those peripheral areas, the salad concept is still the same. People would not want to eat much of a salad, and it also depends on, like you mentioned, the historical aspect of it, the culturally how you have grown up, and how much you're exposed to high fat foods or high salt foods or high sugar foods, that the liking of those types of taste buds haven't yet been explored to that extent. So yes, I this is a learned behavior for me, that I started to like salads so much so that it actually like waters my mouth right now while I'm talking about.
So fantastic, Dr. Sumeet Arora and Dr. Saumya, the way you described it. And Dr. Sumeet, I think what you've gone through is something that what a lot of other people have gone through as they have matured from I think it's the age, right? As they matured from being in their houses and eating with their parents to them eating outside to eating on their own, or moving from one country to another, or rather moving from a small city to a metro city. I think most of us have experienced that, so I can correlate with that. So what I was trying to do here with you, I also tried to do with my friend Mr. Goyal yesterday when I was talking about I'm eating about podcast, right? And this is what we came up with. So Mr. Goyal is a entrepreneur, technology entrepreneur, right? And he said rather than going to a bar, we went into a salad bar and it was empty, right? And the first thing that came to us was a shock. Why was it empty? I mean, isn't this what our grandparents used to eat like 100 years back? I mean, our great grandparents, what was that? They were basically fruits and beans and vegetables and then some sort of possibly protein, right? And then what did they use to eat like 500 years back? Wasn't that a salad after all? So, so God knows what has changed, right? That came to our mind first. And I think the second thing that came to our mind was that, you know, what if every bar was a salad bar? I mean, what would be the impact of alcohol on your body, or the high sugary, high salty, high sauces food that we eat at the bars along with the things that we drink would be if we would have just taken fiber first, right? And I would like both of you to take it as experts, right? So we just two people discussing, right? As experts, we would like I would like if you can take a jab at that question, like what if every bar just served salad as the first thing that you have to eat, and then you can eat whatever and drink whatever that you want to drink, and how would be the connection of that thing to my insulin, to my gut health, right, and to various systems that are going on inside our body. Dr. Sumeet, you're the doctor over to you.
Yeah, so I mean, I have an attached story to this. So when I started my residency, I had a friend, or I mean, somebody who was junior to me just joined the program, the residency program, and every time we went out for lunch at the cafe, they would always pick up only few foods, which were like I want to say hash browns and fried okra and I don't know, grilled chicken. I mean, it was like a very particular type of food, and every time the same type of food. And always had that question that why don't you pick up something else? Like it's too hot for me, as she would say. Like it's too hot for me. I cannot have that. I cannot. And one day I noticed that accidentally something that was too spicy came. I mean, she ate that, and like she started but like she turned red like anything. So this is a story just to elaborate, like the type of exposures that you have right from your childhood will probably define what you're going to end up liking also. So if I were to talk about my own daughter, what she ends up doing is like she doesn't really like uh, a lot of cooked vegetables in the Indian gravy format. But then she does love broccoli. She does love the salads because that's what she has been eating when she was in the US, and she loves that type of taste buds. So Raman, as you mentioned that what if like all the bars were salad bars? So what we train our taste buds to be, like culturally how we are brought up to be, uh, that's how probably we're going to end up being. The day we introduce these high fat, high salt, and high sugar foods, there is a change in the neuronal process that starts to happen. It starts to work as a kick. So it starts to activate these dopaminergic neurons, and it's like a reward. It's like any other drug addiction. So that's what happens. And there's a shift in the taste buds that starts to happen. So if even if we were eating these salads like all throughout our life, but suddenly we shift our types of foods to these types of foods, the liking towards the other foods reduces. I get a lot of parents that would come and say that my child who had eaten like really well in the first 1 year of life or 2 years of life, and suddenly things have changed, and whatever they were eating before, they're not liking it anymore. They're not liking the good vegetables that they were eating, and now they're more into the chips and other aspects of it. Yes, there's partly that we introduced it for them, but also once they were introduced, the there has been a shift in the taste buds in the neuronal circuits. It gives them a high, and that applies to even adults. So it becomes very difficult to get rid of this liking of the foods, and it has to be trained. We have to train ourselves to do it at times. And I would like to know what Dr. Saumya has to say about this.
Right. I think I'd like to bring in an element of, since we're talking about mindful eating, I'd like to really bring in an element of mindful eating, which is called the beginner's mind approach. So as I was talking earlier, that we all have, and Dr. Sumeet said that you have certain things attached while growing up, that salad is supposed to be, it's something that's supposed to be kind of forced down. We grew up with this notion that it has to be taken. It's not something you'd like to take until you grow up and then you explore and it's different. So with that script that you grow up with, I think what happens is we are not kind of aware, or we don't understand how much this can impact our thoughts, how much this can impact our belief system. So much so that, if we walk into a place and every place is like a salad bar, like you said, Raman, I think we're already walking in with a sense of judgment. You're already, so I'm talking from a, very behavioral and psychological perspective, that you're already walking in with a very, with a judgment formed, or we are already walking in with a notion formed. And because that notion is already there, or because that judgment is already there, and you're following that so much so that you're not able to get in tune with your bodily senses, or with your, the signals in your body, the signals from your mind, which may make you feel, it may make you kind of want to have that, or connect with the colors, connect with the smell. But you've already blocked that through your judgment, through your preconceived notions. So even if you could get into enjoying that, maybe a lot of us wouldn't. Of course, now things have changed, but a lot of us wouldn't, because we're carrying those scripts. So essentially, what I'm talking about in terms of the beginner's mind approach is, sometimes when you walk into a place which is a salad bar, and what if, like you said, every place was a salad bar? I think to take a few moments and to understand that sometimes we need to look at a few things as if we're, kind of have a beginner's mind, like as if we are tasting it for the first time, as if we are having it for the first time, almost like a child with a curiosity in your mind, that how is this going to taste like? What is the smell like? How do I feel inside? What is the signal? Am I feeling like, am I feeling hungry? Or how am I feeling? How are my taste buds already reacting to it? So I guess sometimes we need to get in touch with that sense of being, with that sense of mindfulness, instead of already going with the judgment. So I think, to answer your question, Raman, I hope I didn't complicate the answer, but to answer your question, it's just how people would react is how they would really, it's going to really depend upon the judgment that they're holding on to, or whether they're willing to leave that judgment behind and just be present and tune in with their senses to the food that they're going to have, and tune in with all of their senses and be present and have that intentionally. So I think that's how I'd like to kind of answer that.
Yeah, so that's a wrap on the first episode of the Doctor and the Psychologist Walk into the Salad Bar. We'll be back with another episode in a couple of days. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to us so that you don't miss out on episode 2 of this fantastic discussion. Thank you.